This is the card design that I'm going to show you how to make. This is the picture of the card I made with it. I gave it to my husband. He liked it really well. I also made one in green for a 3-leaf clover. You could use almost any design to do this, but I'll just go ahead and go through the steps on how to make this from make the cut. So we'll get started. I'm just going to open up a new page here. We start with a blank page, and the first thing I'm going to do is click on the basic shapes icon at the top of the page, and we'll use a heart design. To find the hearts quickly, I just type in heart, and when I do, I can see all the different hearts, and we'll choose this heart 4. So when you find the shape you want, you double click it and it gets added to your screen. Now I'm going to need 4 hearts for this project. Let me show you why. There's this inside little heart here. Then there's this shadow here. And there is this heart that I used for making the lattice, and then the outer heart for which I use the rhinestones. So in order to what happened to my hearts? I see. Okay, so here's one heart. In order to get 4, I just went to Edit, Duplicate, have 4 hearts on the screen, and I click Apply. And I'm going to resize these because each heart has a different function. So I'll click off of the selection and just click on the first heart. And I'm going to keep this one 1 inch so I don't need to resize it. My carrot is already 1 inch high, and the shape came in at the size of my carrot. So this one's fine at 1 inch. This one I'm going to resize to a height, and I'm going to make sure that I have the gold lock icon on because I want it to stay proportional. I'm going to make this 1.6 inches, so I type 1.6 and hit enter, and that makes the heart 1.6 inches high, and the width is now 1.9717. I'm just going to be adjusting these by the height that I need. The third heart I'll make 3 inches, and then the fourth heart I'll make just 4 inches. Well, they're kind of all jumbled together. I could see them better if I would spread them out. So what I like to do is move one heart over to the right of this virtual mat, select them all, and it's a nice feature on this software. It will evenly space everything for you. If you right-click, go to Align and Space, click on Space, and I want to horizontally space them. You can use that right bracket key to do it on a shortcut. Then I like to have them all lined up at the top, so I'll type a T for top, and they all line up on the top. And I have a nice neat row of 4 hearts. Now what I'd like to do is get rid of this. Got to see my layers. How do I get rid of this? Oh, I see. You notice that they're on the layers palette on the right, layer property window, that I have all 4 on the same layer, but I would like them all in their own layers. So I'm going to right click on this default layer name and select to each its own. So then each heart goes to its own layer here. And I want to name these hearts so that as I work with them through the tutorial, I remember which heart I'm working with. To rename, you double-click on the layer name and just type in the one you want. So I'll call this Heart 1. And if I click that, let me close it so you can see which heart that is. I hide it by clicking on the eye, so that's the smallest heart. I'll double-click on this one and make it Heart 2. Enter. Double-click on the next one. This will be Heart 3. Enter. And Heart 4. Enter. So now I have each heart on its own layer, called To Each Its Own. Now the next thing that I want to do is select them all. I like to use Control A, but you can go up to Edit, Select All, and I type S, S, and it stacks them all perfectly. I like them all centered like that. It'll help me as I make my design. And I think what I'll do is kind of put this to the center of the page on my 6-inch line, just to make it easier later on to line things up. The bottom of my card is going to be about here on the 6-inch line, so I'll just put it somewhere in the middle, and later I'll line them up. So now I want to go to the bottom of my screen, click on the icon and eye icon, and select Hide All. So I'm hiding all the hearts because I'm ready to start working with just one heart at a time. So the first heart is I'm gonna choose the largest heart. That's Heart 4. So I click on the eye icon to show it, and we're going to do use the rhinestone feature to make the eyelets on this. I tried other methods, but this seemed to work the best. So to create that eyelet, to show you the picture again, this eyelet edge around this heart that's going to be popping up is what we're doing right now. I click on the rhinestone feature, and I selected a stone size of 22. You can pick whatever size you want, but I like the look of the circles that I got from this. And then I made the spacing about 0.08, and clicked on Outline Shapes and Delete Original. To see what this looks like, I click on a preview on Matte, and you see that these circles are pretty nicely arranged in a heart shape, so I don't have to do a lot of editing. If I change the spacing, I might have to move some of these around, or if I change the stone size. But I found that this stone size and this spacing works together pretty well to give me a nicely balanced rhinestone shape. So when I'm happy with that, I click on Accept. So then I have my rhinestone design here selected. If I wanted to edit the positions of any of these, I would want to pick Split down here, this icon, click off of it, and then I could click on a single one of these rhinestones in order to move it into position. But I like where mine are, so I think I'm just going to keep them all joined. I select it and click on the Join button here, and that again puts them all in one group to make them easier to manage. Now what I want to do is make a shadow of this. So I'm going to click on this shadow layer icon, or Control H, and that opens the Generate Shadow Layer window. Right now what I'm creating is the scalloped shape around the heart by making a little shadow, and once I get it kind of where I want it. I can use my arrow keys. I wanted about 0.085 in order to create this nice scalloped edge around the outside. I don't need the inside line, so I'm going to click on Apply Blackout and leave Auto Simplify Output in place, and then Accept. So now I have a nice scalloped heart that I'm going to work with for a bit. So I'm going to hide the layer with the rhinestones here by just clicking on its eye icon, because we need to work with the heart by itself. So now I want to create a rectangular frame. I'm going to hide the scalloped heart too. Give me a little clearer picture here. Again, to make a frame, I'm going to go to the basic shapes and I'm going to type square so that I can, oops, I missed something. Let me show you what happened here, because it'll happen to you too. Notice that the square is hidden. That's because I forgot to add a new layer first. So I'm going to undo Control Z, and that square disappeared. To add a new layer, you click on the larger of the two plus signs at the bottom of the screen, and now I have a new layer, and when I double click on this square, it now shows on the new layer that I just made. So I'm going to resize this. In fact, I need another one of these. I can copy, Control C, paste in place, Control V to get another one, or I could have just clicked that square 2 times from the Basic Shapes menu. The first square I want to make into a rectangle that is these measurements. And I need to, since I don't want it to remain a square, I want it to be a rectangle, I'm going to click on the lock icon so that it's green and unlocked. That allows me to enter specific width and height measurements. So I need one that will fit the design. So I end up with one that's 4.6396, and then that's for the width, and the height is going to be 2.25 inches, and press enter to resize it. Now the reason I need this specific size is I want it to, I'll show you the scallop here. I want it to overlap slightly on this side and on this side. And I want to be able to see about 12 of these shapes at the top of my scalloped heart, 6 and 6. So that's how I know I have my size right. So I'll close that so I have it positioned there. And at the bottom, this partial scallop that's showing here is where this rectangle is going to connect. So I need to make sure I have edges. So that's where I came up with the size for this. And once I have that, I can hide my heart again. And I really only needed one because I'm going to create the second rectangle by doing a shadow. I select the rectangle, click on the shadow button, generate shadow layer, and my shadow layer I want to be about 3.375. I'm using my left arrow key to resize this, but I forgot. I want square corners, not round corners. So I choose mitered, and that'll give me the square corners that I need. I get pretty close to the 3.35, and then I use my arrow key to move it over a little bit. Once I have that, I'm just going to click on Accept. And now I'm just drag my cursor around all of it and join using this icon down here, the Join button. Now I have what I will call a frame. Well, I don't want this frame to obscure my design, so I figured out that if I erase the middle section of this frame, then I'll have what I need for the finished design. So to do that, you click on this little icon in the upper left corner. It's the node, gives you the node editing toolbar. And I'm going to use the eraser tool. So I click on that. The other way to get to that is to type F6. This is F1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to make this quite a large eraser, 30 millimeters. Make sure inverse eraser is not checked. And then I'm going to click this eraser above this frame on the middle line there. So you see why I wanted my design in the middle. And I'm going to first hold down the Control key, then click and drag my mouse till it goes over the bottom of that rectangle and let go. Now I have the pieces that I want, that are the handles to connect the heart to the rest of the card, and I'll show you on the picture where that would be. See this? These are little handles here, here, and here. So that's what these are. So now I have my handles there. I don't need my eraser tool anymore, so I'm going to click on this top arrow again to get out of node editing mode and back into selection mode, so I can click on the screen. So now it's time to create the card. I'm going to hide this layer, and I'm going to add a new layer. And I'm going to make my card, again, from my basic shapes. Double-click on the square. So I have my card here. And I'm going to make this 10 inches wide by 5 inches high. So just type in the 10, tab, and type 5 and enter. So I have my card shape. And see, there's an X in the middle of that shape. I'm just going to kind of move it till the X is over the line. It's not real important right now because I will be repositioning this later, but kind of halfway between the 6-inch mark and the top. And I think it'll be easier for me to do this part if I changed my matte to the green. That way it's transparent. You can kind of see the hidden layers underneath it to give a better idea of positioning. And also you can see when the center dot lines up on the 6-inch mark there. Okay, so to create the card, I'm going to show the scalloped heart by clicking on its eye icon. So they're on the card there. And I'm going to hide my card for a second while I work with the brackets here. Now the brackets are exactly where I want them to be. You see that they're lined up right over the edge of these scallops, and then they go directly into the card. And these are the spaces created that you see when you look at the pop-up. Here, the space here, here, and here. So I'm going to select all of these and weld. That's Control W. Now they're all one piece, and I just call this the heart bracket. Now I can show the rhinestones, and you see how that's going to look. I can go ahead and select all, Control A, and join. Then I can see now I have my eyelet heart. I really like the look of that. So the next thing that I want to do is add my score line. So you can either make a straight solid line for the folding of the card, or you can make it dash line. So first I notice that this thing is off center a little. I'm going to move it over with my arrow key. And next, to draw a line, I'm going to click on the Bezier curve tool, the little pin tool here. That's F5. You could type F5 and your cursor will change to the little pin, as you can see it on my mat. Now to use this tool, I'm going to click up here above where my card is. Just left click once, and I'm going to hold down my Control key so I can get a nice straight line, and I'm going to click it at the bottom, right click it to end the line. So now when I click on my selection tool, I can drag around it. Oh, I forgot to put it on its own layer. I wonder where it went. It's on the card layer, which is okay, but I really want it to go to its own layer. So if you drew it already, it went to the wrong layer, you can put it on the right layer by clicking on the smaller of the two plus icons, and then it gets sent to its own layer. Now you can see with the card showing that I need to resize this now to match the height of my card. I'm going to make the height of this line, we'll make it 5.5 inches and enter. So now it should be the full length that I'm going to need it for the final card. Now I can center that line to the card by clicking selecting all and typing S to stack, and now you see how the heart moved down. The card is centered, it's centered on the card, and the line is also centered on the design. So I'm going to select this line now because I want it to be dashed. That's why it needs to be on its own layer. If I left it on the other layer, it would make all the lines on that layer become dashed, and I just want the line to be dashed. So I selected it by dragging around it, and now I'm going to right click on it and select Change Color, Texture, Line, and then select Line. The shortcut is Control-Shift-Y. And I get this Choose Line Style window. I'm going to click on Create New Line Style because up here you get the solid line, and here you get the dash line. This slider allows you to change the length of the dash. You can set that to as long or as short as you want. Sometimes a shorter dash is better so that the card doesn't tear. And I like to increase the spacing between the dashes by moving this slider a little bit so that they're not real frequent, but frequent enough to help you get a good full line. When you're happy with your settings, you click OK, and you have a nice dash line. Now I'd like to make a couple more dash lines, so instead of going through the whole process again, I'm just going to select this one and copy, Control-C, and I'm going to add a new layer because these lines all need to, the pasted lines, I'm going to paste to a new layer, so paste in place. And now I want to move that new one to the left of this frame on the heart. But I need to resize it, And this frame was, I just want it to go from this top line to this line, so I'm going to resize the height of that line to 2.25, I believe it was, 2.25, and enter. And now I'm going to select, I'm going to hold my Shift key since it's selected, and I'm going to click on my heart, not the box, but the heart. I'm going to hide the box. Anytime anything gets away, hiding it's very helpful. Now remember, this has to be 3 inches, I think. Okay, now I'm going to have that selected, hold the Shift key and select the heart, and I'm going to type L for left, so it's centered on the left, and then I want it to be centered to the top. Yeah, top of the heart's a little higher than that, and I lost my center on the other, but that's okay. I'm going to hide this anyway. And I want to duplicate this line, so again I can go to copy, edit copy, then edit paste, and I want this line on the same layer. And again, I want it 3 inches so I can get it perfect. Arrow it down, and I'm going to open that again, so now I can select this heart, hold Shift, and select that line, and click on the R right so it aligns it perfectly on the right side. So I'll hide that again, and I'm going to select both of these lines and join them just to make it easier to keep track of them later. They're already on their own layer here at the top. So now I'm going to go to the heart frame layer. I'm going to hide the dashed lines now because I don't need to work with them right now. We'll position them later. And I would like to go to the heart frame here. What I need to do to make this a pop-up design is erase these 2 sidelines. But before I do that, really, I would like to center this again. I'm going to select everything, show all, and select all, Control A, and stack. And since I joined these 2 sidelines and joined everything else, they should all stack nicely in the center except for these little lines. So now I'm going to hide this and hide this. I don't need my hearts. I'm going to hide all. Easier to work with. Show this, and then show where my dash lines are. They're kind of out of place here. See that? So once I get these all in place, then I can play a little better. Okay, so I'm going to hide my score lines. Now I'm ready to work with node editing again. Here, this time I want to use the this node editing tool, which is F2, where you just click on that, and it changes your cursor to a tiny little arrow. When I click on it here, you'll notice it doesn't select the whole side, so what I'm going to do is right-click on that node and delete it. Now when I click the line, I get the whole line selected. Once it's selected, I just hit the delete key and it's gone. Notice the whole design changes because now it's an open path. I'm going to do the same on this side. Click the line, right-click on the node, delete node, and now when I select a line, I just click on that line to select it and hit the delete key, and I've gotten rid of that line. And this is going to allow my dash lines to make folds. I'll open this eye, And you'll see that the dash lines are here and here, and the cut lines are now gone. So I have some extra layers here. I'm going to click on the trash can to get rid of those. And the next thing I want to do is going to join my little heart frame design now to the card, the pop-up card portion. So we'll go open that again, show that layer, and make sure everything's where I want it to be. I'm going to select all of it and click on Join. Oh, look at that. The line qualities are different. I have to undo that, and the reason is I selected the eyes as part of the selection. So again, I'm going to go here and Join. Now I have solid lines. So this is the pop-up portion of the card. There's a, once I show you the fold lines, you'll see that there's a mountain fold here, that is, it folds, the crease folds towards you. And then we have a valley fold here and a valley fold here. This you pinch from the back to make your back designs. So now we have the pop-up card. We can go ahead and hide that. We'll just hide all. And add a new layer, because now we want to add the layer for the backing for the card. That would be on the picture here, it would be the white part. That is, so where the pop-up part is popped up, you see a contrast behind it. You don't have to have these 3 layers, but that makes it a nicer visual effect. So the next thing I want to do again is add that square again for the white backing layer. It's on its own layer because I added a new layer. And the size on this one is going to be 11 inches, no, 10.5 inches, tab over by 5.5 and enter. And so this is going to be our pop-up backing. Now I'm going to hide that. And I'm going to show you the rest of this design. We're going to work with a neck size heart next. We've done the rhinestone heart and joined it, and now we're going to make a lattice heart. This is a really fun card to make too, because you get to use so many of the tools in this software. So we've already worked with heart 4. Now we're going to take heart 3, which is the next to the largest, and show it. And I'm going to hide the pop-up section, and we're going to do a lattice from this heart. So to do a lattice design, you click on the lattice icon down on the Shape Magic toolbar. I've played with the settings to get kind of a larger lattice effect. You can make it any size you want, but I have the width 0.14. The gap, that's the gap between the lattice lines. Angle of 0, rotate 45 degrees, and I have all 3 options selected: auto simplify, delete original, and inverse lattice. In order for this to work, you have to preview it first. So let's click preview, and I see that that'll work for me. Got this point down here nice and centered, and you could play with it. You can make it larger or smaller, but I found these numbers work for me. And by the way, I do have a printable tutorial on this. I should have it posted by tonight or in the morning so that you could print it out and get all these precise measurements if you need it. I'll put it at MTC Toots for everybody to get. So once you're happy with your lattice design, click on Accept, and now we have have our lattice. And again, you could edit these if you wanted to, but you'd have to split first, so then you could move them around. I like them the way they are, so I'll just join using the join icon. And so this lattice I'm going to now show with the pop-up card and join those all together. So I'm just going to select it all and click on join, and now you see the nice lattice effect on that card. Now that would be really nice by itself if you wanted to do it that way, but the design I was looking at also had another heart right in here. So I'm going to click on the eye icon to show, oh, that was heart 1. I want to show heart 2. And I need to move heart 2 around a little bit so that it's overlapping a lattice line. Get a much better effect if it's overlapping before I weld. And you can use your arrow keys to kind of position it where you want it to be. That's a nice effect. So once I have it where I want, I'm going to select everything and click on weld this time. And that gives us our nice little shadow there in the middle. And the final effect with the hearts, we use the last heart remaining, which is this one. Open that. And again, it's a little high because I lowered the other. I'm going to arrow down till it's about in the center of that shadow area. And once I have it where I like it, again, I'm going to select everything and join. So now I have a nice little cutout. You can see the little cutout here, the lattice, the rhinestone, the frame. We have the card. We already made this inside card. So the last thing to make is the outside scalloped card. So I'm going to hide this layer. First I'm going to get rid of all these empty layers. You can do that by clicking on the trash can. And I'm going to hide this by clicking on the eye icon. And now we're ready to do the card, to the outer part of the card. Again, I'm going to add a new layer first so that it goes, everything on this layer will be just the outside card. Go to the basic shapes again, double click on the square, and then I also want to use the circle. So type the first 3 letters, I get the circle, and close that. So now I have a square and a circle. I'm going to make the circle, turn on the lock icon, and I'm going to just do it 0.5. Gives me a nice size circle. Then I'm going to make the square 11 tab 5.5. Enter. I forgot to change my lock icon, so I got a perfect square again. I need 11 wide. Enter. You'll probably do that many times, but don't despair. We all do that. Okay, so I'm going to do a nifty little thing here with the wrap object to path. This is the object, and the outside edges of this big rectangle are the path. So I'm going to click on the circle to select it, left click. Then hold down the control key. Now I'm going to drag the circle over the rectangle, and you notice that the icon changed to a square, circle, and triangle. So when I let go of my mouse and the control key, the window opens here. And this is going to allow me to wrap objects to path. I'm going to click the repeat button, and I need to have this wrap around with 65 circles. The spacing is going to be 0 because I don't really need spacing between these. And the vertical alignment, that's the distance of the center of the circle from this line here. I need to have it set to about 35%. So I'm going to move this over so it's close to 35 and then use my arrow keys to move it. And then the offset tells me where the first circle is going to start. I really don't like this corner the way it is, so by moving the offset I changed where the first circle is positioned, and I found I like a 21% approximately. Seems like every time I do this it's different, but I just keep tapping that arrow key until I get a look that works, and that'll do it. Now it's 93%. I got 21% one time and another look another time, but this will do. I leave the spacing. I could space this maybe. I could change that. No, it doesn't matter here. I'm going to just click on Accept. Now this will give me a chance to show you if I don't like the alignment of some of these shapes, I can select them, make sure that the bottom one is exactly where I want it positioned using the arrow keys, and the top one is where I want it to be. And now I'm going to select just those on the left, and I'm going to right-click, Align and Space, and select Spacing. I want the vertical spacing to be even between all of these. So you see how they all lined up evenly? Then I can do the same thing with the right side. If I like the positions of the outside ones, then I can select all of them again, right-click, Align and Space, Space, and vertical spacing, and they're all evenly spaced. Now I'd like to line up all the top to make sure that they're evenly spaced. Right-click, Align and Space, Space. And this time I'm going to align them horizontally, and that evens out all the spacing between them. And the same with the bottom. Align and Space, Space, and horizontal. Now they're all lined up nicely. They look pretty good. So once I have them the way I want, I select them all and weld, Control W or the weld icon. And now I have my nice scalloped edge card. I want to resize it so that it is exactly 6 inches tall, but only 11 inches wide, because my card is going to be 11 by, or 5.5 by 6, I believe. You could make it any size that you want. Now I'm going to delete all the empty layers and see what we have now. I'm going to show everything, and I'm going to, again, I'm going to hide the dashed line in the center because it's the one that doesn't need to be centered, but everything else needs to be stacked. Type S for stack. Now we notice that the scalloped thing is on the top, and really to see everything it needs to be on the bottom. I'm going to move the pop-up backing, right-click, and move it to the bottom. And now I'm going to do the wrap layer, move it to the bottom, and now we can see the whole design, but I'm going to kind of put in some colors so you can see how it might look. To change the color of a layer, you just click on the color icon, and I want my scalloped backing to be dark red. I want my pop-up, the backing of the pop-up to be white. And then I want the card to be red again. And if I click on the contrast matte, as we started with, then we see the nice effect of this. Now I want to make sure that the dash lines are where they should be, and I see that they're not. And So the long dash line looks like it's where it should be. So all I need to do again is select these dash lines, use my down arrow key until they line up with the sides of my design. I think I'm going to make them a little shorter because they're a little taller than I need them to be. There they are. Okay, so this is the finished card. Don't forget to save your card with every step that you do. So I save as, and I'm going to call this number 1 so it doesn't overwrite my other one. And I like to add any notes in here as to where I found the picture of this. Let's see if I put any notes in here. I put my copyright information in here, and I put the webinar where I showed this, tonight's date, so that then if you get this card, which I posted at the MTC Toots today, then you can open up the file section and be reminded of when the webinar was that showed this technique. So that's view notes, and you can put in web links or anything that is helpful for you. So I think that is, yeah, that's all it is. Any questions?
Actually, no. We did a good job. There was one question which I was able to answer. That was early on, and I don't see any other ones. So thank you very much, Julie. I think we'll. Oh wait, sorry. Oh, now they're typing it in. Yeah. So thanks. Great tutorial. Good toot. So again, some thanks there. But
I forgot to mention how I cut this. You want me to show that?
Sure, real quick.
When I cut it, I went ahead and hid all the layers, and then I showed both of the red layers and the score lines. And then I moved one layer down below the other so that I could cut both at the same time, since they're both within 6 inches. But the score line itself needs to go with both pieces. So if I unstack them, then I also have to make another score line. And position it. So copy, control paste, control shift V, and move it down. So then I can cut all of these out of the same piece of paper, which is what I did with my project. And then when I'm done cutting those, I hide that, hide all, and then I cut my white sheet of paper, and I'm ready to go. And when I'm done, I can undo any of those changes so that the card is back where it started. You can score those lines rather than making dash lines. If you want to use an embossing tool, or if you want to use a engraving tool to make your scored lines solid, you could just keep those lines as solid. But then you have to remember when you're cutting to turn off those dashed score lines, or to change your tool so that you don't end up with slicing your design. Sometimes I make both scoring up solid line scores and dash lines and put them on different layers, so then I could choose whichever one I want.